Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast number 193. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by DawsonTire and Wheel, your premier ag tire and wheel provider in North America, helping people grow. TractorZoom delivering insights, and Dry Shod Boots, the official work boot of the Moving Iron Podcast. This week I have a special guest from T3RRA Products, and her name is Gwen Brittain. And Gwen, it is a pleasure to have you on the podcast. How are you today?
I am excellent. How are you today?
I'm doing quite well. So we tried this once and I messed it up, so we had to do it again. So thanks for coming back on and being part of the podcast.
No problem. No problem at all. Happy
sometimes technology and myself just don't mix. So
I understand. Believe me, I totally get that. Yeah.
Right. So just to give a quick background before we jump into what T3RRA is and all the fun stuff that it has to offer, tell me about Gwen and your roadmap to where you're at today.
Okay, sure. It really all started, as far as the dirt moving goes, back when my husband and I had our farm leveled. We own a farm and a commercial hunting club in Stuttgart, Arkansas for duck and goose hunting.
Oh, right on.
And yeah, yes, and yes, you're welcome. You can come.
I'd love to take you up on that.
Well, it's as you understand in this area. I mean, some people that are listening may know that we're the rice and duck capital of the world, but and some may not. But we are self-proclaimed rice and duck capital, which means it's all about water management. You have to have standing water for both. So we needed to do some repair work on our farm in order to keep the water at a certain depth for our crops, and then also for the ducks. It has to be kept at a certain depth for them to be able to feed off the bottom. So we did some repair work, and in doing so, I learned a lot about water management and dirt moving, and I decided to sell scrapers. I decided to go to the metal side of the business and sell heavy equipment. I learned a lot. I barely knew what a scraper really was and its functionality and its application. And I started just digging deep into it. And the more I did, the more addictive it was to me. It just felt like home for me, with dirt moving and water management. It was just an odd fit, but it was there. So yeah, I've learned so much.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of water management, since the first one didn't work out like I wanted it to, the second one, you had a bit of a hurricane come through your area, and talk about that and the impact that hurricane had on your area, and talk a little bit about how what you're doing helps prevent some of those damaging winds and rains and those kind of things from ruining things.
Well, with excessive water like that, you're going to have flooding, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you can't help it. It's going to be flooding. But the point of landforming and in agriculture is to provide a way for, in a flooding situation, for the water to leave the field quickly, but to not cause a lot of erosion. You've got to balance that. So to back up a little bit, I told you I sold scrapers for a while, but now I work for a software development company that develops the landforming software that controls the implements I used to sell. And so now I'm on the technology side, and I really love it because, so now it's Precision Terrain Solutions. We develop its landforming software exclusively for John Deere, and it integrates in with everything John Deere. It's all green. And so this company that I work for now is based out of Australia. So I work in the United States and Canada. That's my territory. And I train the John Deere dealerships how to support and sell the software. And the software will design projects so that your water will leave the ground without causing the erosion, but yet it will give it time to infiltrate, to water your crops. That's the balance that you want. And then in this hurricane situation, it was terrible. I mean, there was a lot of destruction, of course. Today I was riding and saw the rice had been blown over. And so there's a lot of repair work that's going to need to be done. But if you have had the opportunity to do some landforming, then you probably came out okay. You know, I mean, you got the water off. It's not standing right now. It left the field, it went into the drainage ditch, and some are catching it. There's a lot of water right now in tailwater recovery systems and in the canals and reservoirs where they've caught a lot of water. And so that can be beneficial too. So that's what we try to do. We're trying to provide a solution for people to manage their water.
Okay, so you just said that your territory was the U.S. and Canada, pretty diverse. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of diversity in there, and I guess as you look at one kind of how you're dealing with different producers out in different parts of the country. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit how Terra is helping those producers design the right thing for their crop or for their landform or whatever it is that they're doing.
Well, it's really fascinating how different it is from state to state, and even within a state, how different the terrain is. You have to look at your soil content. You have to look at your time frame that you have in order to get that landforming performed before you plant or after you harvest. A lot of times you have a very small time frame because the snow is coming or the snow just melted and you need to get, you know, the crops in quickly. So everyone does it differently. And for that reason, we have a lot of tools available. I see levees, of course, here in the Delta region. That way you can manage the water through a levee system. And then I see terracing. I see terracing in Texas. So the software needs to be able to create terraces in order to manage your water. And then I'll see in Arizona, it's just flat, you know, so there is landforming there, even though it's flat, they still want to put a gentle grade to it because they're trying to conserve every drop of water they get because it's so hot and so dry. They want to maximize their irrigation efficiency in those dry, hot places. So they want to be sure there's, you know, that gentle grade on the ground so there's time for infiltration. Then we have tiling. So tiling is subsurface water management, where you actually install tile drainage underground. And that is something else that we've been able to develop, and we're still developing that software. But so we have you have so many different applications for water management, and our software can do all of it. So when I travel, I have to just first find out what they need. You know, what are your needs? What have you had in place up until now? You know, I need to know what equipment they have, what's available. And then we start trying to develop a plan for them.
Okay. Well, great. So you're working with software, right? And the software is ran through, like you said, specifically a John Deere piece of equipment. And mm-hmm. You're working with, I guess, talk about how the technology works with the tool that you have and as well as the machine that it's pulling by.
Okay. Well, the software can survey to get you a topographical map of the ground. So you survey with the software. You can also import third party. So we can, for example, we connect directly to John Deere Operations Center. We can bring in elevation data that farmers have recorded during other applications. While they're out recording their tasks, they're actually also recording elevation data. And that's of value to them. So we can bring that in and create a surface from that. And then at that point, it's a design step. Once you have your surface in your software, then you have to decide, am I going to do full field landforming? Am I going to put ditches in? Am I going to put levees, terraces? That's at that point, you decide what you need. And then we have all the design steps. After that, once you've created your design, it's time to apply it. And we automate John Deere's iGrade. iGrade is the hydraulic controls. So when our software is in the apply stage and implementing, we're automating the blade height with iGrade. So it's it sounds pretty basic. It can get complicated at times, but that's how, for instance, I had a dealer in Nebraska contact me and say, look, we've got a lot of farmers asking for tiling applications. And I really think that because iGrade controls vertical height of the blade, you know, the scraper and the ditcher blades, it can control vertical height of a tile plow boot. And I said, let's go for it. Let's do it. And that was a few years ago. And so it's just the feedback we get from our customers and our dealers is what we listen to. And if that's what they say they need, then we start working on it and developing. So that's the exciting part of the business. I really like to work with the customers when I get to also and get their feedback.
So I heard you say you work with Job Center and various tasks that they perform, record elevations, obviously, when they're out in the field working. So if I'm a farmer out there and I've had to work the same field for, I don't know, 10 years or whatever, and I've got 10 years worth of, you know, planting data and, you know, tillage data and harvest data and all those kind of things, you can use that data to get the profile elevations of the particular piece of ground that they're working.
You sure can.
That's pretty cool.
And we want them to pick the application where their receiver maintained a constant height. If you're spraying, for instance, you know, the weight changes on the tires, so your receiver height's going to change. And that's not going to be good data. You need to pick an application where your receiver's maintaining a constant height, which is tillage and seeding usually. There's some in certain regions where they have other applications, but normally that's it. Pick that and then bring it in, have a look at it. We even have some tools in there to fix it a little bit, to shift the paths or smooth the surface to make sure that it's a good representation of how it is today. And if they still think they need to go in and do a survey, they can do that too. But for sure, this elevation data can help them start a plan. You know, if they think that, oh, it's changed, like the hurricane has come, there's been more erosion, there was a wet harvest or something like that, that has affected this ground, then now they can look at it and say, okay, I want this section, you know, repaired this year. So we're going to focus on that and then go in and do a real-time survey and create a design from that.
That's pretty cool. So I mean, that's really utilizing every tool that you have offered already in front of you. And like you said, it is a great way to, if they really want to come in and do a really defined survey, they can obviously do that. But at least that data they can pull up that they're already collecting, that's part of the machine anyway. It gives them a good chance to sit back and say, okay, I can do some rough estimates on this and kind of get a good costing structure of what this job's going to look like, to see if it's even something I want to do this year or next year, or how it's going to work into my business plan for the upcoming marketing year.
That's exactly right. A lot of people do their landforming in stages. You're not going to do it all at once.
Right.
So you have to decide what's the most important landforming I can do this year that's going to make the most impact on my crop yields. That's the bottom line. You want to increase your yields. You want to fill in those potholes. You want to clean out the drainage ditches and, you know, make your farming operation more efficient overall. So that's what we do.
It's pretty impressive. So you sent me a video of a tiling machine working here, and I am going to put that up here on the screen right now if I can not mess it up too bad, but I feel like I will be pretty successful in that. So let's see what we got here. So I'm bringing it up now, and can you see the screen up there, Gwen?
Sure can.
All right, so I'm gonna hit play here. And why don't you just kind of describe a little bit as to what's going on here and what this looks like.
Okay, so this is a tile plow. You're actually installing drainage tile, and you see the Starfire receiver that is collecting data as they travel, making sure that we have the tile plow boot at the correct height. That's what iGrade is the hydraulics is controlling, and we are automating iGrade to the design height. You see here at the left of the screen, that is our tablet in cab running our software. It shows the profile view of the drain. And when you install tile drainage, you're usually at a minimum depth of 2 feet. So that's why you see that green band through there. So that's about 2 feet deep that we're installing. So there's also a maximum depth that they want to go. So we make sure that the design follows the natural contour of the ground, yet stays within the 2 and 4 foot depth needed. That's what this tile ply is doing. It's installing it, and you can see it's running very smoothly. Ike with Land Pro took this video for me last week. This was literally taken last week. And as everyone is doing right now, you're training virtually.
Right.
Ike and I have not met in person, and he had never used iGrade before. So I'm so proud of him and what he's been able to accomplish. We did all of this over the phone and virtually, and they're out putting tile drainage in. Yeah. It's amazing.
Well, that kind of gives you a kind of an idea of the simplicity of the operation. I mean, here you are training a fellow on the telephone and via a few Zoom calls, and he's out there running a machine, putting tile in the ground. So it kind of gives you a good idea as to the simplicity of what you have to offer.
Well, and they had confidence. They had confidence that it was going to work, because they made an investment on their end too, that this was going to work.
Right.
So, and I was just thrilled. I was thrilled that they let us do it and that this is the outcome. So we have more people, and this is still under development. Our software was developed for landforming on the surface, controlling your surface drainage. This is subsurface drainage. This is new to us, but the more feedback we give, the better it's going to be. I mean, the better it's going to be. So the more people use it, the more they say, if it only did this, if it only had this tool, or if we could just see this better, I don't know, just they give great feedback. So we'll tweak it a little and add to it. And that's what's great about the company that I work for, because it's a small company and I have the ear of the coders, and they care. They really care. They care about the customer and the user and giving them the best product they can. So it's fun. Every day is an adventure.
Right. So does this work with all levels of GPS signal? Is it everything SF1 through RTK, or is it just specific to RTK? Okay, RTK.
Yes, you do. You want that vertical accuracy. In our type of application, that's vital. Gotcha. You want that's the grade, to grade. That's what we call it. You want to be on grade, and you want your design to be to grade. And we can get within that 1/4 of an inch accuracy with the Starfire 6000 RTK receivers. They just are amazing.
So in the field, like this particular field here, are they using an RTK tower that's within the 12-mile radius of where they're at, or is it better to have an actual RTK signal booster at the end of the field someplace?
Good question. When you're surveying, you can have your base station within 12 miles. That's all right. But when you're out actually applying with iGrade, you need to be within a mile, 1.5 miles of your RTK base. So the majority of people don't have the luxury of having their tower that close to them. So they will need one on a tripod or on a pole in the field.
Gotcha. Okay. So the tablet in the screen, is it a tablet-based program that runs off of a specific kind of tablet, or can you run that off of a 2630 or a 4440, or what's our? Sorry.
What you're seeing here with the Gen 4 has iGrade. That the iGrade will be in the Gen 4. Our software there in that Windows-based tablet is Terra software, and it is a Windows-based. It uses a Windows-based operating system, and you do need a touchscreen tablet, and that tablet can be anything that you really want it to be. as long as it meets the certain specifications. We prefer it to be a ruggedized tablet for in-field work, but some people will use a Surface tablet, such as you see here, and put like a rugged cover on it, but then they can use the tablet for other business reasons. Like right now, I'm talking to you on my Surface tablet. I can take it right now and get out in the cab of a tractor and move dirt with it, but I also use it for business too. So it has its advantages.
Yep. What are some of the kind of advancements you see coming down the line here? I mean, a lot of technology is hitting us. A lot of different things are coming at us with software updates and software pushes and those kind of things. What kind of advancements are you guys working on right now that are going to kind of extend what you guys are doing?
Right now, as far as in-field applications, we're working on dozer applications.
Okay. Yep.
On the construction side. And we like to say our contractors work in ag civil because they cross over, from ag to civil work. And they will have more than just a tractor pulled scraper in their fleet. They're going to have a dozer, an excavator, and they really ask for something for that. And we're doing it. So that's new. And if anyone that has Terra software right now goes to the advanced tab in their settings, they're going to see dozer application, and you can enable it there. But we have all these warnings. Okay, be sure you know what you're doing because this is beta. But,
Right. Yeah.
Let us know so we can help you if you're doing that. But yeah, we're definitely innovating there. And then also our desktop software, Terra Design. We have a new release for Terra Design. So that's new as well. And we've added many new tools in there for dam building and terracing, civil work projects. So we're really expanding just all the applications that we can and tools we can for people who are moving dirt. Okay.
So let's talk about, like you just said, make sure you know what you're doing. Okay. So if I go and I get the Terra software for my farming application that I'm going to do on my farm or my ranch or whatever it is that I'm doing this with, what's the best way for me to really step back and take a look at what's going on and how do I get trained on this? Is there what's the training process look like?
That's difficult. That's the difficult part, honestly, because I have had farmers take control of their own dirt moving and say, I know nothing. I really know nothing about dirt moving. So they have to start from the ground up. And I tell them to just take the baby steps, start with the basics. We can show you how to use the software and how to use the tools, but you really need to have someone there to consult with you. If you're starting from just scratch, they need to talk to an irrigation engineer. They need to talk to other contractors who've done the work. That way, that's how they learn, and they learn by getting out there and using it. So it is a learning curve at first, but it is addictive. That's exactly what's addictive for me. That's what I hear from my farmers. And then usually it's the farm owner that's out there doing the work. He's the dirt moving. He gets out there and it's hard to get him out of the tractor cab that's pulling the scraper.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's more, like you just said that the farmer typically like to take control of the project, but are more and more owners and producers, are they looking at more of a dirt contractor or someone that installs tile, those kind of things to come to their farm and do a project like this?
I see mostly right now contractors installing tile. There's some farmers that are starting to do it. The majority, it would still be a tiling contractor. Those projects can get quite advanced. Yeah. I see that the farmers, though, definitely do their ditching. Yeah. That's probably the easiest application to learn, is to get out with your ditcher and clean up your drainage ditches. So I see more farmers doing that, and then they move into full field landforming as well, just doing some maintenance and cleanup. Maybe they had someone come in and do their dirt moving, a contractor, but it doesn't stay level. You know, you have to maintain it.
Yeah.
So they'll buy a blade. They'll buy some sort of 20-foot wide box blade and keep their ground to grade and just do the maintenance work.
Yeah. Gwen, this has been a really enlightening podcast, and this went significantly better than the one that we did previously, because I hit the right buttons at the right time. So I appreciate you doing all this. Any last thoughts that you could think of that you want to put out there that before we shut things down?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I think it did go very well. And as you know, as you can tell, I love talking about it. And I think my last thoughts would just be for people to, especially this year, they're trying to be more efficient. They're trying to maybe reinvent themselves a little bit and think maybe about more advantages that they can bring in and more efficiency to their farming operation, and for them to really look at the landforming side of it. Because I think that water management has the greatest payback of any practice, and for them to consider that.
Good deal. Well, Gwen, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you and get more information about this, or where they can go find this kind of software application?
First, go to our website, T3RRA.com, T3RRA.com. And I have my contact information on there, as well as my colleagues from Australia, their contacts on there, so they can reach us by going to the website and looking. And then Terra USA was my Twitter handle. We have a great YouTube channel, youtube.com/T3RRA. And you have, I'm a visual learner, so I've created a lot of videos and put them on there so that my customers can learn. And then we have, of course, videos like this tile plow on there too, showing different applications working. So it's the best way to learn, and just to reach out to us. We're always available for calls and web meetings. So that's the best way to reach me.
Well, good deal. Well, Gwen, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Casey, for having me. You have a great rest of your week.
I will do that. Well, I'm Casey Seymour with Moving Iron Podcast. Make sure you check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for all the latest Moving Iron podcasts, as well as any Moving Iron blogs I get put out there. Check out movingironllc.com for the latest information about Moving Iron, as well as the Moving Iron Summit coming up here in Nashville, Tennessee, or January 20 through the 22nd. Well, September, we had to cancel it because of COVID, but look for that information to be up there this weekend. It'll be up there for everyone to go and sign up for it. So with that, I am Casey Seymour with Gwen Brittain. Let's go to some iron, folks. Out.